Welcome back to the Inner Shift Collective. I'm your host, Nat Lamb, and today we are going to dive into a topic that's rarely spoken about. Yet it explains so much. Why women are only getting diagnosed with ADHD later in life. Spoiler alert, it's not because the symptoms weren't there, it's because ladies' hormones have been masking them for all this time. So let's talk about the science, the stories, and connect all the dots so we can make sense of all this. So to start with, most of the ADHD research and diagnostic criteria historically was just tested on boys. Boys who would often present with hyperactivity and externalized behavior, which is easier to spot. However, flip it on its head, girls and women are more internalized. They're more likely to be overthinkers, daydreamers, the type, the people pleasers. We're more likely to be diagnosed with anxiety, mood disorders, depression instead of ADHD. That would always slip through the net. So according to a 2020 study published by the BMC Psychiatry, women with ADHD are more likely to be undiagnosed or diagnosed a lot later in life, unlike men. That's not to say that some men don't slip through the net because they do, and it'd be unfair to say that. Some men are also late diagnosed or just missed altogether. But the women that have been missed for all that time are generally going through mental health struggles, emotionally burned out, and the relationships are just breaking down left, right, and centre. And some of that is down to our symptoms are being hidden by our hormones, and they are presenting themselves very differently to what a typical ADHD presentation would look like. Here, though, is where the science gets really interesting. Estrogen plays a really key part in the regulation of dopamine. And dopamine happens to be the neurotransmitter for motivation, focus, attention, emotional regulation. But for women, estrogen can help boost dopamine levels temporarily, masking symptoms of ADHD. According to a study done by Nader and Quinn, 2002, and Monteleone et al., 2018, fluctuations in estrogen significantly influence dopamine pathways in the brain, which affects emotional dysregulation, executive functioning, attention span. So when estrogen is high in your menstrual cycle, during pregnancy, or when you're in your 20s, when you're young, ADHD symptoms might not even be that noticeable. But as soon as the estrogen starts to drop during PMS, postpartum, perimenopause, you know that those ADHD symptoms are going to come roaring back with a vengeance. So it really explains why ADHD goes unmissed until key events within a woman's life where the estrogen levels aren't masking it anymore and it becomes more obvious. So when you're hitting perimenopause or pregnancies, it's them times where you'll see the ADHD in full swing. I mean, all of a sudden, you're irritable, forgetful, really snappy. And it doesn't matter how many green smoothies or hacks that you find when you're searching the internet, when you're asking, what is wrong with me? It won't make any difference. It's not going to help. So when the estrogen mask actually starts to slip and you feel like you're losing yourself, you're not actually losing yourself. You're revealing yourself. What is exposed is actually you. You've been hiding it behind a hormone that's been helping you get through. I mean, I thought I was lazy when I'd be procrastinating over what job I want to do. The to-do list is so big, the tabs are open at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, I don't even know where to start. It starts to overwhelm you, and before you know it, you've done absolutely nothing. but stare at your phone or watch TV all day when you had 1,000,001 jobs to do and you just couldn't get started. Me personally too, I always was very quick to judge and very quick to snap back and felt like I was constantly under attack when someone had questioned, why haven't I done that, or why have I done it that way? I feel really deeply about the emotional charge that came with that, and it had wounded me. But my reaction and my response was, it was just not normal. Then at the grand old age of 47 years old, I find out, and I mean, it was a complete shock. I've been diagnosed with bipolar and then undiagnosed. I've been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and undiagnosed. And then I'm depression, anxiety, you name it, I've been there, I've done it. To find out at 47 that I have ADHD combined and at the top of the spectrum on all three parts of the assessment. I mean, that hit me like a steam train because I was convinced that I didn't even have ADHD. I actually was under my GP for quite some time because of menopausal issues that I was having, major issues with it. And I think what had happened is my GP had seen me that many times, they sort of got used to seeing me and my behaviours, I suppose, to the point where the GP actually said to me, would you consider having an ADHD assessment? It hadn't even crossed my mind. How many times do you hear people say, I was fine until I hit 35. I was fine until I had my second child. I seemed to be okay at school, but now all of a sudden I'm forgetting everything. It's a really common thing. It's all you ever hear right now. These aren't people that are failing. These are people who have slipped through the net, neurodivergent, and now all of a sudden the support is coming through because the research has been getting done, finally. So if you can relate to any of this, which I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that can, you are not alone. And I'm going to give you some tools to help you along your journey. Number one, track your cycle. Notice how focus, energy, and emotions change within the month. Number two is support your dopamine levels, and that could be with protein-enriched foods, mindfulness, i.e., even if it's a case of listening to music that makes you feel good, it will elevate the dopamine levels. Going out for a walk and smelling the fresh air and listening to nature all increase dopamine levels. So number three is practice breathwork techniques or nervous system regulation. When you feel overwhelmed by emotion and you can feel that pent up energy building and you're about to give that quick fire back, before you do any of that, try to distract yourself and disrupt the thought by giving yourself a second to think. Also taking in a few deep breaths and holding it for a few seconds and then letting it go again. There is a method called the 4-4-4-4 box breathing exercise. It's perfect for scenarios like that. The idea is to disrupt the thought before it gets out of hand. Number four is so simple, journaling, writing things down, removing whatever's going on in here to a pen and paper and putting it on paper and just leaving it there to deal with it another time. You know that it's still there. Your brain's happy that we've done something about it instead of it going round and round in circles. And journaling can be really helpful. So maybe try that as well. But most of all, drop the shame. There's nothing to be ashamed about. You are what you are. You're born this way. ADHD is not something you develop. You are literally born like that. ADHD is neurological. You can do nothing about the fact that you have ADHD. You just have to learn how to use it to your advantage and how to control it when it's getting out of hand. Anyway, that's it for today. If you like what you heard and you can resonate, please subscribe, share, comment, like. It all helps the channel to grow and it reaches the people that it's intended to. So until next time, stay soft, stay curious, and trust the shift.